Today, my topic is embracing Christhood through releasing. Many people perceive releasing as getting rid of person, places, and things. Release is defined by Random House Dictionary as to free from confinement, to let go, to loose, to let loose. Many times we hold people, places, and things in consciousness for the wrong reasons or for misunderstanding. And to release them or it is to simply look at them differently, to allow them to rise to another level. The result, upon releasing, as we find our comprehension and perception, the way we see them change, we free ourselves for our expansion of consciousness. The shift of 2020 allows us to recognize these people, places, and things held in consciousness, which prevents us from being fully attentive and aware of our purpose to express our life in love. You see, we have, for the most part, humankind, that is, we've lived our life for other people, other places, other things, and we have not lived in these bodies. 2020 is giving us the opportunity to live in our bodies, to understand our bodies, to know our bodies. And the Creator, in its infinite wisdom, gave us only 3 tools, only 3, in order to make our transition from the survival level of being before 2020 to this present moment. Those 3 tools were our images, our feelings, and our thoughts. We will share with you 6 concepts as human beings, humankind throughout the world, which prevents us from achieving mastery over our images. I began with a story of a woman that we call Michael. He decided to take a journey. And upon walking out of the door, his angel said, "Leave your bags here, or I'll carry them, or they'll get heavy on the way." Michael said, "Don't touch my stuff. And I'm not leaving it. I'm taking them with me." So he continued his journey. Midways in the journey, there rose a storm and ripped Michael's stuff to shreds. As the storm raged, he found shelter to wait it out, rummaging through his stuff, which are called his attachments, dependencies, his usefulness. He let it go. He let it go. He didn't realize he had made that transition. When the storm was over, he cursed the angel and said, like I did, "You jinxed me." He raved it and cursed at God for the destruction of his stuff because he felt empty. He felt no direction. And the angel answered quietly, "You had a choice to leave your stuff, and I even offered to carry it for you, and you refused." When Michael settled down and became willing to let the stuff go, he looked back and he blessed it. And this action opened up for Michael to see things that would never have been seen with his stuff. Michael reminds me of humans insisting upon keeping this stuff that no longer serves. I tell you, you don't need a storm. Simply being willing to let your stuff go that no longer serves you. How willing are you to let your stuff go? We shared with you the first of the year or the end of last year another message on releasing, because it was well timed at that time to do so. One way of letting go was to put your hand on everything that you own and simply say, I release and I let go. How willing are you to step out on your faith in God and know that regardless to your next step, you are not alone, that you're doing the right thing. Releasing people, places, and things does not mean that they must go, that you have to go through a storm to let them go. You see, there are 4 levels of releasing, which we have not considered. And the first level, or the spiritual level, is to extricate. And that is to release the energy from all of our past experiences down into the conscious mind so that we could let it go. The spiritual level is to exonerate, and that is to free yourself, to forgive yourself because of your innocence, because of your innocence of a life and your trust in God. And the third level, or the emotional level, is to release. And when you say that with the image of the thing or the person in mind. I let you go. And then 4th, which is the physical level, you keep saying it, keep saying it, keep saying it until you feel differently. You see, when you begin to become willing to release that energy from your spirit, it begins to dissolve at that level down to the physical level. You see, the only way we can hold people, places, and things is in our mind. By voluntarily releasing, being willing to let go everything, regardless to how dear, frees the very thing that you have released to come closer. I have proven that in my life with my children. When we release feelings, images, and thoughts about a person, place, or thing, we set ourselves free and allow others the freedom for their expansion as well. And we shared briefly 6 concepts we hold about others. You see, because we have been conditioned to live outside of ourselves, we first must look at those ideas of what we have about others before we can move forward. And the first one is to release everything you've ever heard, thought of, and taught at this moment, at this point. And why? Because everything that you were taught, everything that you heard and you felt was a derivative of the old energy, the energy of survival, an old way of living. And it was fine for the time, but we are living in new times now. We're living in the age of love. And this might be challenging But just be willing to change the old ideas that come up. I'm willing. Just, I am willing. I am willing. I am willing. And you will not do well in the new energy when you have defined yourself from the old. Drop it. Drop what you think is right, wrong, good, bad, and different. I've had experiences over the last month or so of having to let go of age-old ideas that I held to be true, to receive new ones. And number 2 is to stop deciding what others think about you. Notice, stop deciding what others think about you. And what you think is never the way it is anyway. Things are changing. Everything is an illusion in your mind. It's all made up. You made it up. And most people do not even think about you as important as you think you are. Drop the history of how you have been treated, for that experience has prepared you for this now moment. And number 3, what others will say if I do. Dear one, everyone is living their life as best as they can. And whatever they say is about them anyway, for your psyche only knows you. In the past, we've lived our lives for others, as I said, not for ourselves. For most of us, we have lived in the body for 60 years. We've been on the planet for 60 years. We've not lived in the body. 5. Stop deciding what others will say if you do. Whatever you do is for your highest good. Do it for you. Number 4 is accept the change. There will be change. You cannot avoid it. You cannot go back. Accept the change, move forward. You see, you really don't know what you don't know. And you can't get rid of anyone. They won't go anywhere. You'll just see them differently. And you change your perception. Change the way you look at them so that the energy can be used for compassionate action. What do you object? What do you say you don't like? That is the very key for your opportunity to change. Number 5, don't let the past dictate the future. Whatever happened in the past can be changed in the now moment. If you decide you want it to change, you want something different, it will be different. And number 6 and last, relax with life. Go with the flow. Notice how uptight we are about life, how little things really matter. Only your feeling, your images, and your thoughts. And when you are in charge of your images, your feelings, and your thoughts, you can relax with life. Acceptance. Acceptance is the key. Acceptance of everything that happens for you, because everything that comes to you is for you. It's for your expansion into your greatness, into your magnificence, into your wonderment as a co-creator. Relax, have fun, bring joy in your life through your physical activities. Seek out physical things to do, to have fun. Oh yes, there will be challenges. Accept them. Don't let them take you out. Roll with the punches, as they say. Call upon your affirmations when you are seeing yourself in the midst of a storm. Call upon an affirmation, which is the truth about you. And in closing, release as your key. Let go of people, burdens. Many times I've had to ask myself, is this my business? Because I was so accustomed to looking out for others and putting myself on the back burner. We no longer set ourselves on fire to warm someone else. When we begin to drop our stuff, when we become willing to drop our stuff, we move through the storm into the sunshine of a bright day. Let us give thanks for each individual message and for the truth within each one that sets us free. For we have been called as light workers for a very, very special appointment, and that is to be aware of our feeling, our images and thoughts, so that we can help to raise the consciousness of the world. That's how magnificent you are. The universe depends upon the light workers to take us through this shift. And we do it proudly, gratefully, by being willing to let go and to let God. All is well. It is done. So be it.
And so be it. Thank you, Reverend Alma. Thank you. Beautiful message on releasing today.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
And Reverend Alma, I feel so blessed for you to do a whole talk about me and to me. So thank you. And but I already gotten there this morning. And you know how many times I have heard feeling, images, and thoughts. And it just went through to a new level. And when you said, it was when you said, you could, I was thinking, I said, you can move, but you're taking those same thoughts in your head, in my head, no matter where I am. I always say, wherever I am, I am. So, yeah. And it was like, it was peace. I got it. I got it. I got it. I got it. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you for showing up and for helping all of us to get it.
Mm-hmm. Good morning, everyone. Thank you. Thank you first, and I just let the community know. Thank you first for being my mom, and so that is a part of the grace of my existence. But this morning, this lesson is one that I want to tell you. I know I've been hearing this from you much of my life, and very recently, but yesterday I was reading my Science of Mind book, and the title was Lighten Your Load. And it was a type of story, just like the one you talked to Michael. These people were on a pilgrimage in the Andes. And this man said he carried too much. And he said he was wondering why all along the way they had these recycled containers, because as people moved closer and closer to the top, they realized they did not need all of the stuff that they had bought. And so I read that yesterday, and then you gave me that story today. The affirmation for yesterday was, I release the heaviness in my mind and lighten the load of my life. And that was just so confirming. Your message this morning was so very confirming that I appreciated and had to speak right up. But I did have something that I wanted to ask for clarity. When you started talking early in your message, you said that there were levels of release. And
Yes.
the first was extricate?
Yes, extricate, yes.
Extricate. And then what was the next one?
Exonerate.
Exonerate.
Yes, and that's you're freeing yourself from all guilt. You can look those words up and perhaps get a deeper meaning.
Yeah, and what was the next one?
The next one was release.
Release, okay.
And then we let go. There's always 4 levels of being to any event. 4 letters, and we found the 4 letters, the 4 levels for release.
Okay, thank you.
A privilege.
And Reverend Alma, there are only 3 tools that you mentioned.
3 tools. That's all.
3 tools.
That's all. 3 tools.
Oh.
Feeling, image, and thought.
Thoughts.
You've been saying all your life, I feel, I think, I imagine. And you think because of what you have imagined. Oh, I see. You say I see, and that's imagination.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
And when we are in control, when we are in command, if you will, if we are in command of what we feel, what we think, and what we say, we are pretty well on the road to mastering our images, our feeling, and thoughts. For that's the only mastery that we came here for, to master that level of our being as co-creators, as perfect human beings.
Good afternoon.
Good morning. Good afternoon.
Thank you for the message this morning. My question is, when I take all these steps, is at that point the message is embracing Christhood through releasing?
Yes.
So once you do all these things and you actually practice it and get to a point of mastery, is that when you're actually letting Christ live our lives?
Letting Christ live the life.
Live our lives, or live my life.
Life.
I mean, there's a saying in the scripture that Paul said, I live, not yet I.
Yeah.
Christ liveth my life.
Yes. Yes.
And it would seem as if once we do all these things and can actualize, practice, and master our images, feelings, and thoughts, at that point, that is when Christ is living our life.
Yes.
Or is it that if you embrace the principle of Christ living your life, that you are able, in that point, it helps you to master these things?
It is a process. Like we said, the energy of the pure energy of extricate comes down into the body, and to each level of our being, our spiritual, our emotional, and our mental being, the frequency of that pure energy is less. When it gets down to the release, then when we become willing to give up that stuff, it's done. And you know the difference. It's subtle, but you know the difference. You can feel it. Things are different for you.
Okay.
Law. That's law. Dr. Holmes said, nature obeys us after we obey it. Which we have to put forth the effort first in order to be freed. Arapujo, thank you. You finished?
Yes. Relax
Yes,
with life, I guess.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Thank you.
My privilege.
Greetings to everyone. This is a bomb. This is a bomb. Sincerely, you have you make everything so easy, and then I have to put it like in the form of the prison of the mind, the prison of the mind, thoughts, images,
Yes.
reason,
Yes.
all those things. Just like when you imprison your mind with those things, you can see ahead, you can see forward. Just like when there's an heavy rain falling and you are driving and your wiper is not working to cleanse up your view, as in seeing ahead. Mommy, you are so blessed and so wonderful. Thank you once again. God bless you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I accept
Thank
that.
you so much.
Thank you. Life is simple. We have complicated life. If you want, and I have tried to make it as simple as I possibly could. I came from the old school, having been taught by Dr. Holmes' students in ministerial school, and they were highly intellectual men. And all of these big words they were saying that I couldn't understand. And I said, teach me how to share this, how to give this to people that's simple, because I have a simple mind. Life is simple. And by me practicing, it just came to me, the simple way of life. It's a simple way of life. If we're in charge of our feelings, our images, and our thought, feeling our images and our thoughts, because there's only one feeling, you see, and that energy. Feeling is emotion, energy in motion that comes through us, and we call it feeling. As a matter of fact, we call it feelings more than one. It's only one. And if we believe it is only one, then when we just walking around saying one, and I've done that this week. I don't stop. We cannot stop. You cannot go back. You can't take a day off. Not once you start your journey.
Yeah. Thank you, Reverend Alma, for that explanation, because you hit up on a point that I wasn't realizing, I wasn't seeing, but I see now after almost 12, 15 years, I'm seeing now that the language is what we as metaphysicians use. That is, as I listen to Janice asking her questions, I listen to Ade and even back to Carolyn, and just retracing in my mind, it's a language that makes some of us afraid. And if we could, I'm not sure that we can simplify it and break it down. However, I'm seeing now that the language. I had invited someone to a 1 o'clock class, and she was reading the book, and she was saying, listen, I don't know about this. And it is said that that is one of the simplest, easiest books from Ernest Holmes. And I remember it took me roughly a year, my first year with you, roughly a year. And now I'm seeing that it's highly possible that the language was tripping me up. And probably that is why I had put so much pressure on you. I said, Reverend Alma, I don't see any break. You said, do this thing every day. Listen, I don't want any break because I got to get this. I have to get it. And so I kept marching on, and I'm seeing it now.
Yes.
Thank you.
You know, Reverend Sister, what you just said also resonate. Now, you know, the privilege that I have of Reverend Alma being my mom appears to give me some advantage, but it doesn't, because, you know, I live just like everybody else. We all lived in an unconscious way. It wasn't until I began my own journey, and I began it earnestly about 23 years ago with Dwight, Reverend Dwight. That's who I really, and
Right.
Thelma, actually his wife, Thelma. That's when I began, you know, in earnest. Well, I had started before that, but they were able to carry me the furthest. And what you just said about the language, I'm understanding more clearly for myself the importance of maintaining a mental attitude, a mental atmosphere. Now, I use those terms, and at one time I used it without all cognition of what that meant. I'm learning now as I listen to each of your questions, I understand more clearly, and I'm able to relate to your questions more clearly because I have been working to create that atmosphere. And so, you know, Janice asked, you know, when you get to this point, would you be living in the Christhood? And when she asked that, immediately it came to me, it's constant. It's never getting to the point. It's always, every time you understand a little bit, there's a little bit more to understand.
Yes.
Every time you understand. And when you said the language, you know, even for myself, like I said, it was just yesterday, it became more clear to me about the release of the heaviness of my mind, the things that I know that I was dealing with. And Friday, I decided I was gonna I was gonna stop and do something different. And a whole new way of looking at things came to me yesterday morning. And then I read that passage and I felt the difference, the likeness. And so the point that I'm making is that we grow into that. We have to grow, and we just have to be committed. And that's a part of what I'm finding even for myself. And when I don't, it's like, okay, so I didn't read today. No, well, we got to read today. If you know, take it to the bathroom, you know, just take it to, you know, just to get it done, to make sure I am helping myself to maintain that mental atmosphere. So it's ongoing, Janice, and there is no, and to me, let me tell you, like I said, I'm real pleased and proud that Reverend Alma is my mom, but there was no advantage because this is a soul journey we're on. Each of us have to do our own work. And I'm just pleased that I can have her to bounce it off with me every day. But that's what Reverend Courtney has also. And that's what Carolyn has, because they talk to her every day. They have the same type of advantage. But this is a soul journey. We have to do this ourselves and be willing to step out on the faith, or on our own faith. She told me I had to stand on my own 4 legs. Four. Meaning that, you know, but at the time it was like a tub. I was in a tub, you know, and the tubs have 4 legs. And those were the legs that she said, you have to stand on your own 4 legs. You're in this tub of life, you have to stand on your own 4 legs. But it is a soul journey.
Yes, it is.
Thank you.
Yes, it is. And you're right, Patricia. There's no getting there. There's no there. And even if you think there's a goalpost there, you see the goalpost up ahead. But let me tell you, as you get closer, that goalpost shifts.
Yes.
There's no getting there. So you just gotta keep moving on. You just gotta keep moving, putting one foot in front of the other, and just make that commitment to yourself.
That's it. The commitment is to yourself. It's not to anyone else, to yourself.
Thank you, Reverend Mazia, for this platform. And Reverend Alma, you are a bright light for all of us. We love you all so much. And thank you for being you. Thank you. You're blessed. Thank you.
Certainly is.
Thank
Okay,
you
so
for
we're
your
ready to.
information, and thank you for the opportunity to share. For this is what I came for, to help
Yes,
to raise the consciousness of humanity. And you come to help me, and I'm honored. Thank you.